If you do not need to use a straw, don't. That's easy, right? I get if you're driving in the car. I get it. But they are one of the most detrimental, unassuming detrimental things that are happening with Mother Earth. In relationship to our green team and wanting to be responsible to Mama Gaia, we have invited Sarah Davy to come and speak to you with her power talk, and I'm going to let her tell you about it. So please welcome Sarah Davy. You want this? You want on there?
I'm going to read an excerpt from a book called The Reason I Jump. It's written by a 13-year-old nonverbal child with autism. Wow. Would you give an example of something people with autism really enjoy? We do take pleasure in one thing that you probably won't be able to guess, namely, making friends with nature. The reason we aren't much good at people skills is that we think too much about what sort of impression we're making on the other person, or how we should be responding to this or that. But nature is always there at hand to wrap us up, gently, glowing, swaying, bubbling, rustling. Just by looking at nature, I feel as if I'm being swallowed up into it. And in that moment, I get the sensation that my body is now a speck from long before I was born, a speck that is melting into nature herself. This sensation is so amazing that I forget that I'm a human being and one with special needs to boot. Nature calms me down when I'm furious and laughs with me when I'm happy. You might not think that it's possible that nature could be a friend. Not really. But human beings are part of the animal kingdom too. And perhaps us people with autism still have some leftover awareness of this, buried somewhere deep down. I'll always cherish the part of me that thinks of nature as a friend. This was written by a 13-year-old nonverbal child with autism. How many of us relate to what he is saying? This celestial feeling is what I get when I hug a tree. It's what I get when I teach my students. You can't always have a label on it, but when your class sees kids blatantly polluting and throwing paper out the window, and then your kid says, "Miss Sarah, can I go do my homework?" You get that feeling. And yes, my kid's homework is picking up litter. You should try it sometime. The app is called Literati. You take a picture of the litter that you pick up, and it geotags it, and it's actually supposed to promote clean communities. The data used in the Literati app actually enabled San Francisco to place a 40% tax on cigarettes because so much data from this app showed that basically 50% of all litter that is ever created in the world is cigarette butts. And this 40% tax, 100% of it goes to cleaning and greening the community of San Francisco. And to think all these cigarette users had to know is that they could recycle their cigarette butts using TerraCycle. The last power talk that I did was before I went to on a crazy trip and, bunch of different countries. And the biggest lesson that I want to share with you today is that you matter, and your choices matter. You have consumer power, and in order for us to make a collective change on the planet, you need to change what you buy. We all do. Because putting power and reliance into something that you say you don't support is not living in integrity. You can't pollute and put stuff that could harm animals into put litter into their habitat and say you love them and you want them around. So you have some choices. Refuse, reuse, reduce. And I'm also adding rethink on there because you're rethinking your habits and you're rethinking your choices. President Jimmy Carter once said, "Too many of us now tend to worship self-indulgence and consumption. We've discovered that owning things and consuming things do not satisfy our longing for meaning." Zero waste becomes a lifestyle when you let it simplify your life, not complicate it. I have stopped wearing any makeup. It's going to be almost a year now. I've replaced all my lotions and hair things with just simple raw coconut oil. I've replaced any deodorant with some simple baking soda and essential oils. I still carry around my zero waste kit that has containers and reusable utensils and my reusable water bottle. And I just think about things before I do them, especially when it comes to purchasing anything. So I'm asking you, what energy do you want to put into your human identity and to your global identity? If supporting the destruction of rainforests, polluting our oceans, and completely decimating our natural lands is not part of your identical agenda, change your actions and change your purchases. Just do it. I don't say this to make you feel guilty about anything that you've ever done in your life, because it's brought you right here, right now, and that's the perfect place to be. I say this to you so you can embrace your poo, or your power of one. Thanks, Neil. I can promise that if you stop financially supporting things that don't jive with you and you limit your purchases to reflect a more zero-waste lifestyle, you'll feel better about your planetary impact. And I also would like to ask you, what energy do you bring to this center? What are you willing to change about your habits around here to reflect your values to this center as well as to this planet? I want to invite you to refuse any single-use crap that's in your grocery stores as well as here, and be willing to help clean up your own messes, whether it's here or anywhere else, with the consciousness of gratitude and respect for our mother. If the NFL and the Queen of England can make positive steps to go zero waste, so can you, and so can this center. And if you'd like to learn more about changing your planetary impacts and changing your consumer habits, I would like to cordially invite you. It will be an hour and a half of amazing discussion and just empowerment about helping the planet and helping ourselves just be better for each other as well as for Mama Gaia. So thank you.